Our Lens, the podcast series where we discuss issues impacting the African American community. We will be exploring the options we can individually and collectively take towards resolving those issues and improving the livelihood of our people now and for future generations. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the black male struggle for identity and power. So, y'all, today I was looking at a story to post, and it was this lady called Seasoned Dialogue. And her reel pretty much described this man down to a T. You hear me? A man who pours without asking. He builds without boasting. Love without ledgers. Who serve without seeking applause. So today I'm joined by Gary Robinson. He is the author of Minding the Dominant Side of You. He's a transformation speaker, healthy masculinity specialist, and he runs the Ran the Engaging Men program. He also has a program at DJJ called the Path to Redemption, Credible Messenger. So welcome to Through Our Lens podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And let me just say, so the Path to Redemption program, that's ran by one of my mentors when I was in prison. His name is Lester Young. Did 20 years, had a life sentence, came home, and came up with that idea of Path to Redemption before he even realized he was coming home. Created the program in prison with a life sentence, was blessed to come home, and once he got home, he hit the ground running, activated that program, and pulled me in because he had mentored me during that time period and allowed me to work alongside him in Department of Juvenile Justice with his Path to Redemption program. So I'm a credible messenger with his program, Path to Redemption, that's devoted to helping men who have been impacted by the justice system transform their life after prison and while they're in prison.
Okay. So y'all, he is Gary Robinson, but to me, this is family right here. So I got to put y'all in my business a little bit. Y'all know I really don't put people in my business, but I'm going to put you in my business a little bit about how we cross paths. So he was actually doing a program at my place of employment. Y'all know I work in law enforcement. And so when these guys, some of these guys, like, you got to understand, like, they really live this life. They really have been in the streets. They really have been exposed to a lot. And so when he first came up, he came with the program and whatnot. Me and shout out to Alexis, we were talking to guys, asking them to sign up. And let me tell you, a lot of guys like, nah, bro, I'm good, I'm straight. And we had to, like, love on them a little bit and talk to them. Let them know, no, you're not straight, brother, because you're here. Mm-hmm. You're not straight. Mm-hmm. It's okay for another man to pour into you. Because you got to realize a lot of them didn't come from environments where they had men to really pour into them, who really cared about them. It's like, listen, it's okay. That doesn't make you less of a man. So they started signing up. When I tell you, it was such a blessing, like, to see how these guys were so eager to go to his class. The same guys were like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need no help. Now they like, Miss Robinson coming today? Y'all come to get us for class? Or see them actually do the assignments. Or actually see them, like, he would give them, like, really encouraging stuff, things, papers and stuff, and you would just go in the cell and see it all over the cell. They putting up the paper. So now I'm finna put you in my business. My son at the time was, what we about to talk about, he had an identity crisis. Mama saying be this, but coaches say I need to be this. And so me being a mother, like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'm praying over my child. I mean, he comes from a decent home. He's not exposed to a lot. Why is my child acting like this? And so Mr. Robinson came to my job to do what he do. And I asked him, I was like, can you mentor my son? And that's what he was telling me about the program or whatnot, that he said that they would come and pick up my son. And when I first put my son in there, let me tell you, he did not want to go.
Nope.
And my knees were still like getting dirty from praying so hard. I'm like, listen, I done put him in the program, Lord. He still ain't changed. What is going on with my child? But you know what? Mr. Robinson, Reverend Pelham, Reverend Wright, and there's so many others that I don't know. They didn't give up on my son. Let me remind you, this is my son. Now, I carry him. This is my flesh and blood. But they loved on my son so much. They poured on him so much that same kid who's like, when I say, you going, I want to go, was now that he's like, he looks forward to going. He look at him like, that's family. Like, to the point, if Jay has an issue, I can pick up the phone. And I can call Mr. Robinson and be like, look, I don't know what your boy got going on. I need you to holler at him. And he do that. And I remember I was thanking him. Like, thank you. Because I know for me, being a single parent, I actually have worked at a prison. I actually have worked at a jail. I really know what goes on there. So me being in it and knowing that, Lord, if my child don't get right, he could easily be in it. Or not, or I could just lose my son, like be burying my son. Like, it hit different when you have people to pour into them and help play a part in saving your child. And I told him, I said, Mr. Robinson, I'm so grateful, like, for what you've done and what you continue to do for my son. And he looked at me and he said, no need to thank me. That's what I'm supposed to do. Y'all, when I tell you I'm grateful, I have seen that this program works from experience. Yeah, mine. Help save my child. I'm honored to have you here speaking, family.
I'm honored to be here.
So let's go ahead and dive in. Could you explain what is an identity crisis?
An identity crisis is when a person doesn't know who they are. And that's man or woman that goes against socioeconomic backgrounds, doesn't matter race, gender, creed, religion, doesn't matter any of that. You just don't know who you are. And what happens a lot of times is we look outside of ourselves to figure out who we are. And by looking outside of ourselves, we pick up what we call a fake ID. And we carry that fake ID around as if it's us, but it's not. So identity crisis is merely you just don't know who you are, and you've picked up an ID of what society has told you should be, of what your culture has told you what you should be, or what the media has told you what you should be, and that is what you do. You put on a mask and you wear that.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So, why are black boys and black men struggling with an identity crisis?
That question. That's a lot to unpack. I think it's twofold. I think when we say, I'll say it like this. On the temples of Egypt, it said that man know thyself. That's the statement that's made. And a lot of time when black people hear that, they think of culture, of knowing where you come from. But that statement is deeper than that. What that statement is actually saying is know who you are. Not the culture, but to know who you are as an individual. We just had an example of, give you an example. I'm in the middle schools running the male mentorship program, the Powerhouse, community powerhouse that was started by Anthony Pelham. And a speaker came and he asked the guys, who are you? And afterwards, we kind of sat back and we talked about it. And I asked a class of 8th graders, who are you? And none of them could tell me who they were. Your child comes home, they understand math, they understand English, they understand social studies, they understand science, but they don't understand themselves. That's a problem. We have to know who we are. And what when I think about that, the reality is we don't know our personality. We're not comfortable with it. A child should be taught to understand that, hey, you may not be the outgoing one like your sister, but you're more melancholy. You're more of a thinker. You're more of a creative sort. You like to be by yourself. That tendency has that personality trait has a tendency to get depressed, to be in your own head. But that personality trait lends to genius. Like understanding personality traits will help. Well, the parent is supposed to then help the child connect the dots. That's what a parent does. So the parent is supposed to help the child understand who they are. That's just dealing with personality. Then to understand your own quirks, to understand that it's okay that you like peanut butter in your soup. It's okay that you laugh funny, you talk different. Like it's okay that you like these clothes. Like that's helping them understand who they are. And then when we talk about men specifically, there's an identity crisis because a lot of us don't have men in our lives. And the men that we have in our lives, they don't even know who they are. So a lot of times we look and we imitate men that aren't worth being imitated. And then we just pass on something and we never realize who we are. So when you think of an identity crisis, especially for black men, I think you don't understand history and culture, but then deeper, you don't understand yourself and you're not even taught to understand yourself. That's not a common thing to learn in school. You're taught everything else, but who are you? So we emerge from school and we get into relationships and we never know who we are because no one has taught us how important it is.
Yes, okay. I'm learning too. Listen, this is not just for you. Your girl is a work in progress. So if I'm just like, I'm tuning in. I'm learning, okay? So we have been taught that just existing makes you a man. What is the difference between a man and a male?
DeAndre Whitfield wrote a book entitled Male vs. Man. That's the brother that was on a different world. Light-skinned brother was on a different world. But he wrote that book, and there's a statement that he makes. He says that every man that you meet is a male, but not every male that you meet is a man. What defines you as a male is your sex. You have a penis. That's it. There's a very big difference between a male and a man. A man understands that he's sent here by God to do a particular thing in the world. He understands that the world does not revolve around him, that he ought to live a life of service. He understands that it's his duty and it's his job to care about others. A male cares solely about themselves. That's it.
Good. So man is nature, but manhood is spiritual. Can you explain?
Yeah. Manhood is, say it again, say the question again.
Man is nature, but manhood is spiritual.
Okay, yeah. I think everything is spiritual. Just like in the 70s, the Black Panther Party and them, they said that everything was political. I think that everything is spiritual for the simple fact that you're a spirit that has a soul that lives within a body. Your soul deals with your thoughts, your emotions, and your will, your feelings. But you're not your soul. And your body allows you to navigate on the physical plane of existence through your five senses of sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste. That's how you do anything. That's how you get any information through the physical body. But you're not your physical body and you're not your soul. You're a spirit. And the essence of who you are is eternal. And you have to understand your source, and your source is God, and God is a spirit. So if that being said, if I'm not my physical body, if I'm not my soul, my mind, my emotions, my will, then what am I? I'm a spirit. So the food that I need to eat should be spiritual food to strengthen the spiritual man, the spiritual woman, because at the end of the day, that is the only thing after you've given all of your love and all of your energy and everything that you have to the people that you love, you have to have a source to get the replenishment from. And the only place that you can get the replenishment from is the source. And that's God. So everything is spiritual. Manhood is spiritual. God is the greatest example of a father. And actually our physical parents are stand-ins. Like mama, you can't give your girls everything that they're going to need to be successful, because there are moments and there are things that they're going to deal with that mama just don't have the answer.
That's true.
You got to go to God. So what parents are supposed to do is be the stand-in, but then introduce our children to the one that can provide them with everything. And then he'll make the woman the best woman that she can be, and the man that the best man that he can be. So I believe that for me, that manhood is spiritual. I think for me, it comes from that space.
So if you could, because you know, this new wave, all this femininity, masculinity, and this way and this way. Listen, I can't, I don't even try to attempt to keep up with that. Could you give me, explain to me what is biblical masculinity?
So biblical masculinity, and this is something that we came up with, Reverend Pelham and I came up when we started doing the work, Engaging Men work. Because Engaging Men, that organization, it's been around for years. It was started by OVW, the Organization of Violence Against Women, and it was designed to help men become advocates for women, because the understanding is that we are the perpetrators of most of the assaults that happen against women. Men are, and if we can become, if we can stand beside them, then we can prevent that. So we got into the work, and he pegged me to run Engaging Men and Boys, and then in doing that, what we started doing was everything was about toxic masculinity. So our thing was, okay, well, what is masculinity? And we began to look into it, and no one could give us a definition. I remember going to, I spoke to about 200 people and asked them, what is masculinity? What is manhood? I heard all kind of things. I heard one young guy told me it's drinking beer, chewing snuff, and smoking cigarettes. This was an 18-year-old. It was everything under the sun that you could think of. Black, white, didn't matter. Women, men, like those were the answers. And we went back and we came up with a definition. Biblical masculinity is having been born a male. It is the inner knowing of oneself as being created in the image and likeness of God, endowed with characteristics and attributes that enable you to lead spiritually, courageously, and purposefully. It's the knowing of oneself and the leveraging of one's strengths, confidence, and abilities in order to build, sustain, and maintain healthy relationships and a healthy biblical lifestyle. That's what we say biblical masculinity means.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. I love it. I like it. So, every human comes in the world with a gift. How does having an identity crisis play a part in not understanding your gift?
So I don't think the identity crisis affects the gift. It affects you. I can not know who I am and tap into my gift. But the key is, if I don't know who I am, it affects how I use my gift. So for years, I did music for years before I was incarcerated. We were at the point, like we were on a promo tour, Jagged Edge, Sam Salter. We were supposed to open for Foxy Brown at one point. Music was on the radio. I had no idea who I was, but I knew that I had a gift. I knew that I was creative. I knew that I could use my voice. Like I knew that I could process my thoughts and my emotions, and I could channel that through my music. Like I understood that. It wasn't until I went to prison and I realized who I was that I transformed the way that I use what I had. So the identity crisis doesn't affect whether or not we're aware of the gift. The identity crisis affects whether or not we know who we are, which in turn affects how we utilize what God has blessed us with. Okay. Yeah.
So when men don't know who they are, women are in trouble. How does a man not knowing who they are impact women?
So, I can't totally love you if I don't love me. Like we hear that, like we've all heard that statement before. But as a man, I'm taught at a very early age to suppress parts of myself. You have a son. When your son was growing up, at any point when he hurt himself, when he hit his knee, when he cried, did you tell him, suck it up? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm naturally a caring, loving, empathetic kid. Something happens. I show you. I become intimate with you because intimacy is allowing a person to see inside of you. Intimacy. So I show you that part of me. Based on the environment, the situation, the circumstances, you tell me, cover that up. Stop that. So what do? I cover it up. Something else happens. I may feel comfortable with grandma or grandpa, and I expose a piece of myself, and you tell me, cover that up. Well, when you tell me to cover it up, I do it because I'm a kid. I'm learning. We're social beings. That's how we learn. We learn in our environment. My parents are my first teachers. So what they're teaching me is that you don't like who I am. What do you like? Dad says a man doesn't cry. Mama says a man doesn't cry. Dad says a man is tough. Grandpa says a man works hard, doesn't share his emotions, his thoughts, his feelings. He never tells me he loves me. I'm learning. What I'm doing is I'm putting the mask on. Because I'm covering up who I really am. You've already taught me that. That's what you're teaching me. I'm trying to show you who I am, but that's not okay. So I put this mask on. We're great. All human beings are great actors because a lot of us aren't in tune with who we are, but men specifically, we put a mask on and we just, it's like I heard somebody say that Ryan Coogler was talking about the late Chadwick Boseman, and he said that during the filming of the Black Panther, Disney execs wanted to meet with Chadwick Boseman. Well, he was an actor that didn't break character. So even during the meeting when the cameras were off, he was still speaking to them with the T'Challa accent. And they were looking like, what is he doing? Why is he talking like this? Ryan understood that he's immersed in the character. That's who he is. When he becomes the character, that's what he does. It doesn't matter if the cameras are not rolling until the film is done, he's in character. Women love men in character. We don't know a lot of times any other way to be because we haven't been taught to be. See, to be is not acting. To be is just to be. I just show up in a space and I'm being me, right? But if I don't know who I am, I'm acting. I got a mask on. And I got a script. Society has told me what to say. You've already showed me through media, you've already showed me through culture what is acceptable for a man. So that's how I show up in the relationship. And you think it's a surprise that I don't really love you with everything that I have. Why? I don't even love me. I haven't been taught to love me. I've been taught to love pieces of me. But I've been taught more to act. So we get into this relationship, and what happens is we teach that we know like attracts like. People talk about trauma bonding, and people talk about being wounded and you're drawn to certain people. Well, what draws people is attraction, the law of attraction. There's something in me that speaks to something in you, and it draws us together. But what happens when I don't really love me, and then we get real close, and I see me inside of you? I don't even love me. Now I see it in you. How am I love you when I don't love me totally? I'm going to push you away. I'm going to put a wall up. I'm going to do whatever I can to get away from that until I really love me. And I think that's what happens, and that's one aspect of the danger of why relationships, they aren't as intimate as they're supposed to be and as they should be. It's because we don't even love ourselves. We've been taught to act. So you loving an actor. And then what happens is I'm in character until I break. Something in life happens. It breaks me. It's like the film set. Cameras cut, everything cut, and the mask falls down. And then you get a real glimpse of who I am. Can you love me in spite? Can you love me when you really see me? And even if you do, I don't even love me. So how can I really accept that you really love me when you see me? when you really see Clark Kent, when I decide to not be Superman, and you really see me, when you really see T'Challa and not Black Panther, like, can you really love me when society has told you that this is the standard of a man? Like, that's the difficulty. But the work has to be done on both sides. But specifically for men, yeah, that's how we hurt you. We hurt you because we hurt ourselves on a regular basis. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whoo, okay. Now, you know you saying a mouthful of it. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm supposed to be hosting the show. Get right, Tanisha. Okay. I'm sorry. So, this is another, like, we talking scripture. When men were created, why did God give the man work before he gave him a woman? Work shows up in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. A woman shows up in Genesis 2, verse 24.
Yeah. Give me the question one more time.
When men were created, why did God give the man work before he gave him a woman? Because work shows up in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. A woman shows up in Genesis 2, verse 24. So God didn't make a woman until man had work.
Yeah. I think manhood is about it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey of initiation. There's a guy that talks about I forgot his name. I just finished reading the book. His first name is John. But anyway, masculinity is a journey. Manhood is a journey. And I believe that identity is a major part of the journey. I have to know who I am before I'm in relationship. There are phases in this masculine journey, this process of masculine initiation. There are phases that a man goes through, and people call them different things. The spring of a man's life, the summer, the fall, the winter. Me, myself, I believe that when a man goes through the necessary phases, when he meets the woman, he has more respect for her. And I say that because the lover doesn't come to get his strength from a woman. He comes to provide it. When a man understands who he is, when he has been affirmed, like the phases of manhood, of boyhood, like all of that plays a role in how he develops as a man. Like there are phases. There's boyhood, there's the cowboy phase, there's the warrior phase, there's the lover phase, there's the king phase, there's the sage phase. And that's just one ideology of how manhood progresses. But in that, I believe that when Adam was created and he is given an assignment, in that assignment, he's also given an understanding of who he is. He's also doing the work, which causes him to build, to face resistance, to have some discipline, to have some structure, to have all of these things so that when the woman comes, I don't have to look for you to feel affirmed, to feel validated, to feel important. I got that in me already. And you're supposed to have that in you as well. Like my boss says something, he counsels couples, and he always says this. He says that people say that you get two halves and they make a whole. No, they just make a greater half. That's it. You're supposed to be whole and I'm supposed to be whole. And then when we get together, we create a greater whole. A half a woman and a half a man don't create a whole anything. You just create a greater half. You're still half a woman, I'm still half a man. We're supposed to be whole in and of ourselves. We're supposed to understand our source, where we come from. We're supposed to have the validation that we need, the understanding that we need, and not having it is no excuse for not knowing how to get it. Reverend Wright says that. That's a Reverend Wright quote. Not having it is no excuse for not knowing how to get it. So if I don't have it and I'm a half a man, I can't stay half a man because I didn't get the lessons. It's my job to figure out how to become a whole man and go into the relationship healed and whole, or at least working on the trauma, working on my baggage so that I can be whole. And then she in turn is doing the same thing. And then we have more stability. Then we have something that we can build off of. So I think that a man doesn't supposed to go look for a woman first. You're supposed to figure out who you are. You're supposed to understand your source, have a connection with God, understanding that he is going to provide you, give you the guidance and everything that you're going to need. You need to have your own place so that you can learn how to pay your bills, how to be responsible with your money, have a bank account, like have your own car so that you learn how to maintain that car. And if you don't know how to maintain that car and you blow the motor, you have to deal with the reality that you blew the motor. Now I got to work an extra job to figure out how to fix this car. So when I meet this woman, I know how to maintain my own life. I can sustain myself. I ain't looking to you to sustain me. Now we can build something. We can have something that'll last. So I think that's the process, but we've gone away from that process.
Did you hear that? You got to come into the relationship whole, okay? It ain't a little piece of you and a little piece of me, and we'll get whole together. We'll do this. What you say again? Y'all heard that word? Whole. Okay.
That's it.
I think we already talked about that. So could you talk about how does respect play a role in a man's identity? And what does respect look like to a man?
Respect looks like understanding to us. It seems simple, but it's not. But it is simple. I think that's what respect looks like. Respect looks like understand the sacrifice that I am making to provide. Understand the sacrifice that I'm making when I go to this job and these people looking at me crazy and they're talking to me disrespectfully, and I know I can punish this boss, but out of my respect for my wife and my children and my need for this job, I suck it up and I deal with it and I don't put my hands on this person. Like, understand the sacrifice that we make and value that. Because if you show me that you value my sacrifice financially, my sacrifice mentally, my sacrifice of putting my future on hold, my dreams on hold, to make sure that you're stable, then I have no problem doing. But when you show me that you do not care and you do not value the sacrifices that I have made, that's when we have a problem. Like, respect for a man is essential. It's just as important. Respect is what men want. Stability is what a woman wants. All women want stability.
That's right.
If you ever make them feel, if I made you feel unstable, you would never have allowed me to be in your son's life.
You're absolutely right. That's absolutely correct.
So stability, and when we think of it, it's not even just financial. Stability is, for a woman, I want to know that when you tell me you go into the store, like, our relationship is stable. Like, the truth that you tell me is the truth. I don't have to question that. The finances are stable. Like, everything, you make me stable. Like, for a woman, that is stability. For a man, it's respect. If you disrespect that, men would take that. Men will kill one another off of respect.
Right.
Or what we feel is disrespect, simply because we're wired in such a way that pride of being a man, of who I am, the aspect of my nature is a warrior. I'm a protector. Like, that's naturally who I am. So being that I'm a protector, that affects everything. I'm a protector. So I'm assessing threats, and if there's a threat, I'm going to annihilate it. That's a part of masculinity. So for me, I think, like, having an understanding, if you have an understanding of the sacrifices that I make as a man and you value those sacrifices, I'll be willing to sacrifice and make a whole lot more. But this is only for a man, because a boy doesn't operate like that. You know, a lot of the listeners will probably be thinking like, well, I do this and he don't do it. Well, you ain't dealing with a man. Like, because a man understands that it's not about him. He understands that at the end of the day, he has to give an answer as the head of the family. Like, yeah, you're the priest of your household. I understand that I'm the priest of my household. I'm supposed to love my wife like Christ loved the church. Christ died for the church. Like, a man is supposed to be willing to die for his wife. There's a difference. Like, there's a difference between you and I. We're not the same, but it doesn't mean that we're not equal. We are. We got different responsibilities. Never are you supposed to die for me, but I'm supposed to die for you. That comes with it. As a man, we understand that. Like, we know when we get into a relationship, when we have children, like, not only do I die for my kids, I die for my wife. That's a different level of understanding. When we play the game, we play it differently. So it's no surprise that we die early. A lot of times you guys outlive us. It's because of how we're wired, what we've been taught to embrace and not deal with. But we still have an understanding that this thing called manhood is serious. There are no days off. Like, I can't abdicate the throne. I have to always be vigilant and present and there. Yeah.
So, like, culture, when it comes to respect, I think now a lot of respect is earned by your bank account. If you got some money, I'm ready to go. But like you said, men bring so much more. Real men bring so much more to the table than just their finances.
Yeah.
But I think culture sometimes, if people living by culture and not biblically,
Yeah.
they can get caught up in the, okay, he ain't got no money, so they don't see the worth in the man. You know,
it's amazing you said that, because speaking of Ryan Coogler, there's a thing on there's a video where he talks about his wife, and he says that when they both were student athletes, when they were in college, one of his teachers told him that he should probably write scripts because he was good at it. He mentioned it to his then girlfriend that he wanted to do it, and she asked him, well, how do you do that? He said, well, it's a program, but it costs $300. And he was like, they're poor. They're student athletes. They're kids. They don't really have the money. Later on, she blessed him with the program. She paid for it. And he said, until this day, she's sitting in the audience now. She's my wife. I don't know how she did it. But she was able to see that he was a good man, that he evidently had a firm foundation and understanding of who he was. He had direction. He had vision for his life. And she poured into him. And now the benefit of that investment is that they're now married and he's Ryan Coogler. Like, she's someone as well, and she's probably great in what she's doing, but we know him because he's on that national stage and has generated over $2 billion in box office success. But it was his woman that made the sacrifice for whatever reason, like hair, nails, shoes. She decided to not do any of that because I see something in you and I'm going to pour it. I'm going to invest in that. I think when you said a lot of times as now we don't see the value, it's because grandma and mama aren't there, just like grandpa and dad isn't there in the lives of men. Women have to be taught to be women.
that's true.
We have a lot of girls, just like we have a lot of men that got bank accounts and cars and got the accolades and have the attire and look like men and women, but they're boys and girls dealing with baggage that that never processed. They don't know who they are. So I think that goes back to just having a mom and a grandma that can take you through that rite of passage. That's one of the things that we lost culturally, the rite of passage. To take our children. In Africa, women took girls through a rite of passage to teach them this is what womanhood is. And we did the same thing with men, with boys. We took them through a rite of passage to teach them. Yeah.
So, like, going back to what you were saying when you said that, I forgot the lady name you said, but she invested in her husband before he was her
Ryan Coogler's girlfriend at the time.
Yes. Isn't that a woman's role? Like, aren't we supposed to invest and help? Because aren't we helpmates?
Yeah.
So is that part of what we're supposed to be doing? If that's
I'm with you. I believe that that is the design, the help me. Like, a woman is a help me. Like, God, and the beauty of it is not that you're behind me and I'm in front. Like, there's a reason why God took the rib from Adam, Like the rib is even even that story is important in and of itself. Like the rib protects the vital organs. Like your most vital organs are enclosed in a rib cage that is hard but delicate at the same time. Like you take a shot to the ribs is totally different than a shot anywhere else because they're strong but they're fragile. Just like a woman. She's strong, but you have to be delicate on how you handle her. You can be strong as you want to be and fight the whole world and come home and I can be disrespectful with my tone of voice and it breaks you. Doesn't mean that you're not strong, but there are moments you're still delicate. You still got to handle with care. So the rib, God took the rib from the side of man because it's designed. He could have taken a bone from the head or a bone from the foot, but to take a bone from the head means that she's above me. To take a bone from the foot means that she's under me. He took a bone from the side. You protect my most vital organs. When I lay down at night with my wife, who do I share my most intimate secret with? I share them with her. Like she sees into me. So I think that even that is something that should be taught. That she walks alongside me. And women, to think about you know it. You guys can meet somebody and automatically sense the spirit of the person to know whether or not they're good, know whether or not they're bad. Yeah. Like your emotions, everything that you do is filtered through your emotions. How we operate is totally different. Psychologists use the terminology of the waffle and the spaghetti. Like a man is like a waffle. A waffle has little sections. So we can be going through something and we can section that off and not even deal with that emotion. Like I can be angry and frustrated and want to have sex. And in my mind, I ain't even dealing with the rest of it. I just want to have sex right now. We can finish arguing later. A woman is like spaghetti. Everything runs together. So your emotions affect intimacy. It affects whether or not you want to cook, whether or not you want to clean, whether or not you want to talk to me, whether or not you want to deal with the kids. Like it's not that you can compartmentalize, but you can't compartmentalize like me. I can compartmentalize my whole life. We walk away from relationships knowing that they're good relationships, but our pride and our ego and how we compartmentalize, I'm just not dealing with that. I know it's a good thing. A man will compartmentalize and not deal with his children. That's why we can do it. We can be out here and see it and know we got a child across town and not handle our business. Like there's a part of you that makes it's easy to compartmentalize and we can just block stuff out and just function. Women don't do that. That's a blessing. Like we make statements about it, but don't really understand. God designed the woman so that everything is filtered through her emotions. And being that she's so in tune with her emotions, she's in tune with the emotions of other people as well. I'm in tune with you spiritually, and I can understand whether or not you mean good. A lot of time, whether or not you don't mean good. Like if I can get my own emotions and feelings out of it and operate in that, I think that's the way it works. So that I'm chasing a dream. All of your creativity, all of your insight, all of your foresight is supposed to come alongside me and help further enhance how we achieve this goal, because we do it together. And I think I don't think we approach it from that perspective. So there are couples that do now. They're strategically, historically, there are people that have worked together. Betty, Shabazz, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, like we can just run the gamut. Like Michelle Obama, like he acknowledges her genius, and I think if we acknowledge the genius of our other half, we'll go a whole lot further. It's just having an understanding that we play the game together. We just play it differently.
That's true. So you mentioned about women, we are emotional. Mm-hmm. Even though we are emotional beings, aren't we still responsible for managing our emotions? Because you hear a lot of women that they do stuff and they're just like, I'm a woman, I'm emotional. We still have the responsibility of, even though we are emotional, being able to manage our emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just bad character.
Right.
Like,
that's it. That's it.
I'm just emotional.
Nope. You can't put it on that no more. That's called bad character. You heard that? We're growing together, y'all. Listen, I love you. I love you, but we just listen. We got to just call it what it is. That's bad character. Thank you.
We got it ourselves. A lot of bad character. Yeah.
So, since we already talked about manhood, could you discuss the key principles of kingdom manhood and masculinity?
I think the main takeaways from that are like, so we do this exercise. For us, this exercise explains it, but I'm gonna explain what it is first. Understanding that you're made in the image and the likeness of God that your true identity is a reflection of the God that made you. I think that's the greatest thing, and everything stems from that. When you look at a mirror, if I was holding a mirror in front of you and I asked you, is that you or is that a reflection of you? What would your response be?
That's a reflection of me.
Mm-hmm. The Bible says that God made man in his image and in his likeness. You're not God, but when he looks at you, what he sees is himself, because we're made in his image and in his likeness. Knowing that, if you raise a boy with an understanding, son, when God sees you, he sees himself. Baby girl, when God sees you, he sees himself. Everything that exists within God exists within you. God is creative, you're creative. God is strong, you're strong. God is mighty, you're mighty. God is powerful, you're powerful. God is knowledgeable, you're knowledgeable. God is wise, you're wise. God is understanding, you're understanding. God's DNA exists within you. You're a reflection of him. And while you live on this earth, that is your duty, to be a reflection of God, to bring God to earth. Wherever you go, whatever job you're at, wherever school you're at, in every classroom, wherever you are, there God is. Every place you go, you bring him, because you're a reflection of him. When God sees you, he sees himself. I believe that if we raise our kids at a very early age with that level of understanding, by the time they get 12 years old, there's no way that you can get a young boy to go do something, vape, throw his life away, rob somebody, sell drugs, because he has an understanding of who he is. He has an understanding of what kingdom manhood is. I'm a reflection of God. When God sees me, he sees himself. I have God's DNA. Everything that exists within God exists within me. It just has to be cultivated. So I think at the core, at the heart of that question, that's what that is. If we raise children with that level of understanding, and as parents, we connect the dots for them. We understand their identity. We get an understanding of personality traits, whether you're choleric, whether you're melancholy, whether you're sanguine, whether it's different models that you can use. That's just one of them. But to be able to help them understand who they are and their personality, and to embrace that, hey, God does things with purpose, for purpose, and on purpose. He made you this way. Like, embrace that, because that's where your power is. That thing that you are running from, that's you. Like, and then understanding that when God sees me, he sees himself. Like, I'm different for a reason. I'm cool with that. That's all confidence really is. Confidence is just being cool with who you are. Old people, we say that old people are super confident. It's just the fact that they've lived so long, they don't care what you think. Think about it. Like, I'll say what I want to say. Like, I don't care. Like, because I'm cool with, I've been in this body for 60 years, and I realized that the people that I thought didn't like me, it don't even matter. Because they're probably dead. And it has not affected me. So they're older. Like, they have a different level of understanding. They've been here for so long. So they get to a point where I'm cool with who I am, and I don't care. I said that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I did it. Yeah. If we raise children with an understanding that be comfortable with who they are, yeah, I think that'll help. But the core is understanding that when God sees you, he sees himself. You have God's DNA. within you. Everything that exists within God exists within you. And wherever you go, you are a reflection of God. You bring God into any room that you enter.
So is that what you teach in like the most club? Because I can tell like from my son earlier before the program, I could tell when he lacked confidence. No matter how much I was trying to boost him up, it's just like he has it when he's with me. But I can tell when he steps outside and mama's not around. You walk with your little head down. You don't want to speak. You know what I'm saying? So is that something that's taught? Because I see now that he has confidence. Like matter of fact, he might be overly confident.
He should be.
He is.
He should be.
Is that something that?
That actually everything that I said just now is one of the things that we teach. Like he was in there when God really gave me that, what I just said. When God gave me that, I gave it to him like immediately, and he was there at the start of that. So when I asked him like, who are you? Like he knows, because we tell him that he's intelligent, that he's handsome, that he's smart, that he's creative, that he's a leader. Like he's heard that enough from us to the point where even when he's not doing what he's supposed to do, Summer Leadership Academy, when he was there, he wasn't giving it every day 100%. And we called him on it. Like, hey, listen, you're a leader. Doc, you following right now. Like you have something to say. And what would get me with him is that one-on-one, we would have conversations, and his level of just communication was is here. His level of communication, his level of interaction intellectually is here. His level of just knowing and understanding how to communicate, how to ask questions, how to listen, like he knows that. But then we would get in most club, or we'll get in a space, and that person wouldn't be there. And I would get on them. But what I realized too is that I didn't get it. Even understanding this truth, I still have to talk to myself. I go into certain spaces and people have college degrees and they've went through things, or they've accomplished things and they got accolades. And I have to tell myself like, okay, hold on, you tripping, dog. You tripping. Like, you know who you are. Boy, what you tripping, boy? Man, you did 12 years and 9 months in prison. Boy, look where you came from. You got to tighten up. So I remind myself, and it helped me with him. Like, it's going to take time. So that's why we understand it's protracted. It's long and it's drawn out. It just takes time to have the communication, to talk to him. And he'll come into his own. And he has come into his own.
Yes, I can definitely see he has changed a lot. Mm-hmm. So I have another question, or not a question. I just want to actually talk about it. I love me Miles Monroe. I'm not taking credit for this. Listen, I just been studying a lot, and he said this, and I just want to get like what you think about it. Mm-hmm. He says there's no such thing as a no good man. He says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, God saw all that he had made and said it was very good. Mm-hmm. So a lot of women say that there are no good men out here. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about that?
I'm not in agreement that there are no good men. I do believe that statement that's made, that scripture reference, is before sin. God created it and said that it was good. Like, it is what it is. That's it. Sin came into the world. When sin came into the world, the relationship was destroyed. When the relationship was destroyed, the way that we are supposed to do things was destroyed. We've gone away from it. So I don't believe that there's a such thing as a no good man or a no good woman. I believe that we have people that don't know who they are, that wear a mask, that are great actors, and we teach something. So you asked about biblical masculinity. Biblical masculinity is like this, for me, it's an image of a great temple, marble, bronze, gold temple, and it sits on 6 pillars. We call those the 6 pillars of biblical masculinity. The pillars have to do with strength, leadership, love, confidence, assurance, and being in touch with your emotions and feelings. And how we describe it is it's about balance. Everything is about balance. That thing that makes me distinctly a man and masculine, I have to learn to balance it. I have to learn to wield it, because the thing that makes me a protector also makes me dangerous.
Ooh.
So as a man, I'm a protector. But also, I'm a protector, I'm an assessor, and I annihilate the threat. As a protector, what I'm doing is I'm looking to see whether or not there is a threat to the people I love, to my family, to myself. Once I determine that there is a threat, my job is to annihilate that threat, to remove that threat away from my family, to make sure that they're safe. That is what makes me a protector. But that also is what makes me dangerous. Because one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. It's about what we fight for. So we have to understand the balance. And the 6 pillars of biblical masculinity that it rests on, like, it is being strong while knowing how to leverage your strength so as not to be domineering. Because at the other end of strong, there is domineering. It's about being a leader while knowing how to leverage your leadership so as not to be a dictator. It's about being loving while knowing how to leverage your love so that you don't be manipulative, controlling, or abusing. It is about being confident while knowing how to leverage your confidence so as not to be cocky. It's about being assured while knowing how to leverage your assurance so as not to be arrogant. And it's being knowledgeable and in touch with your emotions and feelings while knowing how to leverage them in situations that you'll find yourself or others in. So everything is about balance. When a man is out of balance, that's when we have problems. When a strong man is out of balance, he breaks things. That's domineering. That's the other side of strength. To break something. To be a leader. When a man is out of balance with his leadership, he becomes a dictator. I'm going to run it like I run it. You could do what I say, and I mean that. When a man is out of balance with his love, he's manipulative, controlling, or abusing. Like, everything plays a role in that. When he's out of balance with his confidence, he becomes cocky. When he's out of balance with his assurance, he becomes arrogant. When he's out of balance with his knowledge of being in touch with his emotions and feelings, he's either too feminine, he's too emotional and feeling and always crying, or he's too stoic. He has that stoic mask on. I don't feel nothing. Mama just died. Bro, you good? Yeah, I'm good. Just lost your daughter. Yeah, I'm good. Like, it's balance. Like, it's a time and a place for a man to shed tears. Like, when the house, we use the example, when the house is burning down, that is not the time to be crying.
You're right.
That's the time to get mama out, to get the kids out. After I secure your safety and make sure that you're good, now when we think about the memories, we ride past the embers and we look at the house that we have, now we can shed some tears. But everything is about balance. When a man is out of balance, when he doesn't know who he is, he lacks identity. He lacks an understanding of kingdom manhood, understanding that when God sees me, he sees himself, that everything that exists within God exists within me. And then when he's out of balance on top of that, confused men create problems. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a problem.
So do you think it's important? Because I was reading a book and he was talking about a man knowing when to be the lion and when to be the lamb.
Yeah.
So is that like balance?
It is balance. Yeah. How a man is going to deal with a boy, a daughter, and a son is 2 totally different things. Like how I deal with my son, I'm not going to deal with my daughter the same way. Like your son is like my son. But I have nieces as well. How I deal with your son is not how I'm going to deal with my nieces. Like, when I talk to him, I'm going to talk to him straight up. I'm pulling no punches. I'm going to tell him how it is, what I expect. Like, it is what it is. I care about your feelings, but in the grand scheme of things, like, your feelings don't matter right now because you just violated. You did something you weren't supposed to do, or you're not manning up. You're not handling your responsibility. Yeah, we teach you. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing it even though you're afraid. That's how you get good at it. Like, I'm going to talk to him, and my tone of voice is not going to be the same tone of voice that I'm going to have with my nieces. All right, baby, I understand. But listen, Uncle knows that you're a little afraid, but what I need you to do is I need you to push through it. I'm going to be right here with you. I'm not going anywhere. And if you fall, I'll pick you up. Like, it's different. So we have to know how to do that. For years in my relationship with my wife, I didn't really understand that. Because serving 12 years and 9 months in prison, I'm around men. I'm used to talking to men. Like, I taught men who were older than me. And my teacher was firm. So we talked different. When I got married, I didn't understand that I can't talk to her like this. It took me, like, she had to keep checking me. Like, hey, it's your tone. And then I began to understand that a woman listens to how you make them feel. A man listens to the information. You can give me information. I don't care what your tone of voice is. If the information is valid and it serves the purpose and fulfills the objective that I'm trying to fulfill, I don't care how you give it to me, because all I want is the information. But on the other hand, with you, I can tell you valid information, and the tone of voice by which I speak to you is gonna affect everything that I have said, because you're listening not for information, but how I make you feel when I give you the information. So all of that for me is like it's a process of learning. This thing is a journey. This masculine initiation, this journey of manhood is about learning, and you just pick up and you learn along the way, and that's the hardest thing. Knowing when to be firm and knowing when not to be firm. And then knowing when you're passive as opposed to not being passive. Because passivity and masculinity can't coexist. Like, you're a woman and you want things, and we're married and you're telling me, I want this. And I know that it's not the right thing for us to do as a family, but I'm passive. So I let you have it. That's what Adam did. Adam was passive. It wasn't that he wasn't there with Eve. He was there. Like, it's his responsibility. It's your fault. It's his fault. That's why Christ had to come. And where Adam failed in the garden, he succeeded in the garden. Because there were that moment when he wanted to be passive and he prayed, God, take this cup from me. Not my will, but your will be done. In his mind, he stilled himself in the garden to go to the cross. The cross only came because he had accepted the responsibility in the garden. Adam didn't accept the responsibility of Eve in the garden. His job was supposed to, hey, no. And if you eat it, I'm not partaking of it. But Adam was passive. Maybe he didn't want to have the argument. Maybe he wanted the house to be peaceful. I don't know.
That's good.
But yeah.
So I just want to let my audience know, to my single mothers, because I feel your struggle. There are good men in our community who are more than willing to step up and help instill the proper morals, values, and principles into your son that you can't. Because I feel like as a mother, sometimes you got to realize, like, and this is me, I'm telling you my story. I didn't realize that I'm telling him these things, I'm not showing him. Because I'm still showing up as mama. Yeah. He still sees a female. So, ladies, just know you're not in this alone. Could you tell my audience, like, information on regarding how they could get their sons into the Most Club?
Yes. If you want your son to attend Most Club is on Wednesdays from 4:30 to 6. You can send me a message. We'll make sure that my information is in the notes. Just send me a message. We don't necessarily have a sign-in process or a sign-up process for the Most Club, because Most Club is an after-school program that we do from 4:30 to 6 for our young men at the Community Powerhouse, 211 East Gay Street here in Lancaster, South Carolina. But once we meet you, then we'll get your information. We'll give you our information. We'll let you know what the itinerary is, what we teach, what we talk about. Also, though, if you have a young man or a man that is interested in understanding more about masculinity, go to GaryLRobinsonBooks.com. There's an assessment tool that you can download. You can take that free assessment, and then information will be provided. I do a sometimes 15 to 30 minute clarity call to kind of gauge where men are and assist them. So if that's something that they're interested in, they can take part in that as well.
And also, listen, y'all need to get his book, okay? I read this book with me and my son. And when I tell you he has an amazing testimony, listen, he don't look like what he been through. You see how he look, right? Okay. You got to read the book to understand. But yes, please purchase his book, Minding the Diamond Inside of You.
And they're on the site as well. Yeah.
Okay. And I just want to take this time to thank you. You know, you are part of my tribe, and it's an honor to have you here. I want to take the time to thank Reverend Pelham, Reverend Wright, and all the other people who I just don't know their names.
Yeah. Dr. White.
Or Dr. White. Anybody else?
That's the core. And then the church is always praying for our guys.
Listen to my tribe who I don't know. I love you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for helping me with my child. Thank you for playing a part in saving so many other children out here. I'm grateful. And it's a shout out to not only just you all, but the people who behind the scenes who some people don't recognize or you don't know. Yeah. Shout out to Dr. Bridges. Mr. Bridges.
Yeah.
I'm saying Dr. Bridges. Shout out to Dr. Bridges. Yeah. Yep. Queen too. Shout out to Dr. Bridges, Mr. Bridges.
Yeah.
Shout out to Reverend Cawthon. Shout out to I can't thank Lord. So many other people who I named.
Yeah, that whole AR Rucker team.
Yeah, the whole Rucker team.
Yeah.
Shout out South. What's the principal name of South?
I don't know.
You know who I'm talking about. The principal is South. Yeah, he looked like me. Yep. Shout out to you too. I just can't think at the moment. But I just want to give a shout out to so many people that's behind the scenes who playing a part in saving our children in the community. I thank you. I love you. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
We're going to have you back too. Y'all get on it. Listen. Can we get the record straight now? Can we have you back for some other stuff too?
Of course. Anytime.
You know, I'm enjoying learning. I'm learning too, y'all. That's why I was like. But to my guests, y'all continue to tune in, like, and subscribe. I love y'all. Peace and blessings.